right, welcome to the Product Podcast. I am interviewing my friend and Antler cohort mate, Joshua Nathan, who's currently the founder of Tutum. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lee. Much appreciated. And I love what you're doing. It's really, really awesome.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on, man. We had a really good time while we were in Antler, and that was my second cohort. That was your first one, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, awesome, man. So we've been friends for a while ever since that shared experience. But I want you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and kind of what led up to you joining Antler.
Sure. My background has always been in marketing. What fascinates me is, how people think about products and how they relate to it, and how a company or a brand could figure out ways to, weave themselves in the conversation and, some sort of a product placement, I guess. And that's what I've been doing for most of my career. I started off in advertising, worked in the big fours, Ogilvy, Publicis, and then I went into client side. Same, like figuring out, how do I find my ideal customer profile? How do I have a conversation with them? And how do I have a lasting, relationship on a year-on-year basis? And for the past 5 years, I have kind of honed in my skills into a particular industry, specifically into the fintech realm, I guess. I've worked in the acquiring space. I've worked in a lending company as well, and I've worked in a company that actually provides like credit card for SMEs, whereby SMEs can't actually get credit facilities. We provide that sort of solutions. And now I'm at a stage of my life where I'm asking myself, what next, right? How do I take all these skill sets that I've learned and build something and solve a problem? So, and that's where I met you, I guess, in Antler, right? Trying to figure out the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was definitely a crazy experience. I mean, how did you hear about Antler and what made you want to take that leap?
So I actually founded a company called Foodie. That was during the COVID period. That was my first time, building something on my own. A lot of things I done wrong. I think I've run it for about close to a year, and there was not much traction. When I say traction, in terms of revenue coming in, but customer acquisition, bringing in chef acquisition, that was going really well. But we were just not making money. So I was asking myself, like, what is going on? Like, what's wrong, right? Like, who do I talk to, and who do I reach out to, right? Do I need to pay a consultant to come and help me out? So I was just scouring the internet to get advice, and that's where Antler popped up, and it was like a incubator program, right? And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's give it a try and see, right? Figure out what I'm doing wrong, what else can I improve on the business itself. Obviously, after attending Antler, that's when I realized, like, look, I gotta shut Foodie down. It's not worth my money, right? I need to figure out something else or pivot.
Wow.
So that was the best decision I ever did, to be honest.
What was Foodie again? Was it a delivery app or what kind of, can you tell a little bit about that?
Cool. So imagine Grab Food in Singapore, but on a smaller scale. It's targeting home cook chefs, and you deliver, 5 meters or 1 kilometer around your vicinity. So you can just walk up to the chef's house and pick up the food, or get the chef to deliver to you, and you pay a small fee. So I was
Mm.
just focusing on a niche, more on like home cook chefs.
Oh man, I love home cooked food, especially in Southeast Asia, man. Yeah, we need that desperately here in Japan because delivery here is crazy expensive and not like Grab, obviously. But yeah, cool. So when you got to Antler, what was the kind of advice that they gave you that made you want to shut it down?
There are a couple of things. I think the first, I would say, revelation that I got was, is the market big enough, right? Like, did you even do your TAM, SAM, and SOM? Now, I was at the point was like, what is this TAM, SAM, SOM, right? Like, that is your business case. That's your use case before you even spend a single dollar, right? So when I went back and tried to figure things out, I was like, there's no data. There's no concrete evidence saying that this is the right place to be and this is something that I need to build on, right? And that's when I was like, yeah, probably it's not a good idea spending money and time on a project like this where there's no addressable market. So that was the first question. I think that was the first lesson that we had, right, during our cohort. So immediately, I sent out emails to my co-founders and started turning off all the paid ads and stuff like that. And that was my first lesson into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah, yeah. When I first about heard about Tam Sam Song, I was like, "What is this too?" I've never heard of this thing. I'm not, from a marketing background myself, so when I learned about it, it was like, "How do I calculate this again?" Because there's a top up and then there's bottoms up, right? Or top down and bottoms up, right?
Correct.
So I was like, "How the hell do I do this for an idea that is completely brand new?" Right?
Correct.
It was
I think foodie was more of like a passion project, right? And in my own mind, I validated the idea by talking to my neighbors, by talking to a lot of WhatsApp groups. In Singapore, they have like WhatsApp groups where people buy and sell through WhatsApp groups, right? So some of them like 5,000 members, some of them 3,000 members. So these guys all validated it, right?
Mm,
Uh, but I didn't actually do the bottom up calculation or top down calculation, trying to figure out is it viable, right?
mm.
And I didn't even put the test, right. If you said yes, would you pay money for a service such as this? I didn't ask those questions. So in my second round of building a new venture, those are the questions that I'm asking, even before putting a single cent, I guess.
So, now Antler has a location in Malaysia, Singapore, but you actually joined the one in Vietnam where I was at as well, right? So when you got to, Vietnam, what was kind of like your initial experience there, the first couple of weeks? Yeah.
I was actually quite surprised because the last I was in Vietnam probably was like maybe 9, 10 years ago. It wasn't that developed.
Mm,
Payment methods were not like what you see presently, QR codes, digital payments. It was mainly cash, right? And I think it evolved really, really fast. And everything is done online, right? I don't have to carry any cash whatsoever. And that kind of gave me the assurance like this market is ripe. There are things that you can do, and problems that you can solve. Compared to Singapore, right? It's very evolved, first world country. You're going to be competing with a lot of founders, and the market is really, really small, right? So, what's the piece of a pie you're going to be getting? So
mm,
that was one of the reason why I think I chose Vietnam, and culturally as well, it works easy for me because I'm Malaysian, right? Coming from an Asian background, it's easy to relate with the Vietnamese people as well. And
mm.
most of all, the people are just really, really nice, and the food is really awesome in Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. One of the things I miss most about Vietnam.
exactly.
Absolutely. But yeah, you also did a food app, right? In Vietnam with your co-founder at the time, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's the backstory. So Sai, he was my co-founder. He has his own business, right? That was running in Myanmar. Then I spoke to him about what I was, what I built in Singapore, foodie. It kind of aligned, right? Because both of us are into FMCG sort of industry, food industry. And I think there was an exercise where I think Ant asked us to, come up with a mock idea and pitch it to us, and the whole shebang, I guess. So by default, he used my idea because there's an app, right? So I told him like, look, I don't want to use this idea anymore. I don't believe in it, and I don't think it's going to make money. But yeah, so we used foodie as an example, and true enough, man. Obviously, right, end of the week when you do a presentation, they're going to ask you questions, the same questions they're asking me, like why this, why that, what about leakage, what about that? I said, guys, I agree with you. That's the reason why I'm shutting down the business. And they said, why are you pitching this business in the first place? Because it was ready.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that the pitching every week, right? That was really like a boot camp almost. We got
Yeah,
absolutely destroyed every Friday, when pitches came up with feedback and stuff. In Japan they didn't do that. They didn't do it as much here. They did it
really.
like yeah, they had like three different chances for us to pitch, but it was optional. Not every team had to pitch.
Oh
Where
man, they're missing out a lot, man.
yeah, in Vietnam it was every team had to pitch,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and get feedback.
You
So
learn a lot. You learn a lot. It's not only about um, the PowerPoint, right? Your content, but it's also about the person who's selling it. Sometimes people make decisions based on, even if your PowerPoint is crap. I think this guy, my gut feeling says that I should talk to him
yeah.
after this pitch. So you kind of learn how to position yourself, position your content, and that whole exercise helped us out a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned Eng, who's one of the mentors at, he was one of the mentors at Antler. And he
Yeah,
told me in my first cohort, what we needed to show was week on week progress. And if you're not pitching every week, how are you able to do that? Right? So, and also the whole point about pitching is to not just get feedback from them, but also to attract potential co-founders. Antler's niche in the, whole VC accelerator market is a co-founder matching type of platform, right? So,
correct.
so how did you find that whole experience when you got to Antler and you met Sai and some of the other founders?
So I was very, very critical in terms of who I'm going to be with for the next 5 years or whatever, how many years, right? We're building a business, because I know myself in terms of my character, the way I'm built. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I like to see things done in a certain way, right? And I work really, really hard. And when I have a goal, I always figure out a way to get it done, right? So I did join a lot of teams. There were a lot of high caliber people, but we just don't match in terms of personality. When I play, I'm like in two extremes. When I play really hard. When I work really hard, right? Like two extremes. So I just couldn't find someone that I could click. And when I met Sai, maybe like on the second or third exercise, if I'm not mistaken, probably the third exercise, right? That's when I put him to the test, right? Like I was exactly like myself. I mean, you know me, right? No holds barred, very upfront. Whatever I say, it's what I feel, I guess. And we actually clicked well together. On my end, I come up with ideas, and Sai kind of like um, how do I decimate it with actual numbers, right?
Mhm.
Okay, this idea is good, but look at this based on this business projection, this is not going to work. Then in my head, I was like, that makes sense, right? So let's figure out a different way. So that whole exercise that I had with Sai, um, it actually kind of made me yearn. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for, someone who can complete me in that sense, right?
Mhm.
So I felt that after finding him, coming up with any new business ideas is not a problem, because
Mhm.
we've done it a couple of times. And because of that short time span that we had to work with each other, we just had to, like, go, 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 go. And
Right.
then that was really great. I still keep in touch with Sai, and we're still working on ideas till today.
Good,
uh,
man. I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah.
to I'm glad to hear that. One of the main benefits of Antler is finding that co-founder, the networking, right? We all, like, you didn't get funded, I didn't get funded, but what we left with is lifelong friends, right? Lifelong connections in our network that we can, maximize whenever, right? And I'm glad to hear that you guys are still in contact. And we are as well.
Yeah,
You know,
of course.
Absolutely. So, one of the things I wanted to chat to you about is the amount of work that you guys did compared to some of the other teams in Antler. You guys were hustling like crazy, man. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the stories that you had throughout the cohort about you guys just like getting after it every week?
I think the main problem we faced was validating. Because we're in a foreign country, Vietnam, we don't speak their language, right? But we know for a fact, because, okay, just one step back, the idea that we wanted to focus on was grocery delivery. But you know what? Look at what's going on now. Grab actually bought into a big company in Vietnam, and they're really accelerating the grocery delivery industry over there. They should have invested in us, right? Anyway,
Yes.
so that was the idea, right? And we wanted to validate this, right? How do we speak to our potential target audience? And that's where we were stuck. So we really had to think outside the box. we literally had our phones with a Google form that's translated to Vietnamese, walking around talking to people. We didn't even talk, right? Can you give me 5 minutes, fill this up, right? And
Yes.
they will look, they'll fill it up. But obviously you need to target people who you think are working, right? And not students. It's quite difficult to differentiate because all of them look super young. And I think within a week, we got about maybe close to 500 validations. The reason why it scaled up really fast is because on day two, we realized that we can't do it ourselves. We need to hire someone to help us out, right? So we called we even asked you. I think you gave us a couple of contacts as well, right? A couple of runners.
I think so.
And we pay them like, I don't know, maybe 50 Sing dollars or whatever, and we gave them a target. Within 5 days, I think we got about close to 500 validation, and that actually helped us out, right? During the final pitch, and we went to IC because of that.
Right. Yeah, you guys, I remember coming up to me and like, fill this out. You know what I mean? Like,
Fill
like,
this out, man.
and then when I was done, you just like, thanks. And you went over to the next person, right?
Yeah,
Fill this out for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love the hustle. You know, as a founder, you have to do that. You have to be willing to get out and talk to people. You guys definitely did, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the like office hour meetings that you had with some of the mentors at Antler and how those went? I know that you guys were bugging them like constantly, right?
Oh man, we made full use of that. We made full use of the the after office hours. I think literally every single day we're talking to An, and the point out was like, leave me alone, guys. Like, I got my own life.
Yes. Yeah.
um, because for me, I failed once with my first venture, right? And I want to get this right. So to me, when I look at An or even Eric, these guys, they have a wealth of knowledge, and every single second I can get with them, it's a blessing for us because we're learning, right? And the good thing about An is he's super transparent. If you ask him a question, he'll sit down and explain to you until you get it.
Mhm.
And I would say the reason why I'm here right now, asking all the right questions, or even going for investors pitch, talking to grant committees, or even thinking about how to set up your term sheet. It's all from conversations that I have with An, right? If I didn't have that, office hour meetings with An, I don't think I will have a higher understanding of what is the other side of entrepreneurship you need to think about, right? It's not only about building a business, but it's also making sure that you bring in the right investors, good cap table, growth, or whatever points that you need to be thinking about when you're building the entrepreneurship product or service.
Mhm.
So the office hours, it was really helpful, and sometimes it's sad to see like some people don't take advantage. Okay, maybe we block the slots a lot.
Yes, yes.
But okay, yeah, I'll bet. But it's gold, right? If you can, if you are in any other incubators or whatever, and you see someone that knows more than you, I think grab this person's time and ask as much questions as you can, simple questions, dumb questions. I think at the end of the whole incubation or whatever program period, I think you'll come out of that with even more knowledge than you went in, and that's where I am right now, I guess. We asked the right questions.
That's right. In the first cohort that I did, I was like you guys, but not to the extent, not to the extreme, but I would always ask Ang and Eric like as many questions as possible because it was my first time doing anything like this. It's my first time ever starting a business, going out on my own, right? So you have to do it. Learn from people's 10,000 hours. That's why books are really great. That's why podcasts are really great. That's why, mentors are really great. And they were really definitely like mentors to us, right? I still value, their insights, inputs, and like you said, I've learned so much throughout these three cohorts at Antler that I've done that and failed by the way, that now I'm even more set up for success. From your overall experience with Antler, what's the one biggest takeaway, or what would you do differently if you had the chance?
Good question. I think it's all in the validation. Now, even before, I mean, obviously, I will come up with a business idea that I assume it's solving a problem, right? And I will definitely do my own validation. But I think the main test would be, would somebody else give me the money to build this business?
Mm.
And that will be the greatest achievement for me. I think previously I used my own money to build Foodie. It was quite a lot, right? If I would have put in Bitcoin by now, I think I don't have to work. But lesson learned, right? But I think that one takeaway is, if you have found something that is a pressing problem and it's an urgent problem to be solved, uh, get someone to buy into that idea and give you some cash to build it. And obviously it's not all smooth sailing, right? Sometimes you might have a business that, it's in a crowded market. How do you differentiate yourselves? I mean, gone are the days where you can build Airbnb or Facebook because you're the only person out there, right?
Mhm.
But if you can come up with a problem that you're going to be able to solve, and you are the only person who's fit enough or good enough to solve it, investors should say, yes, you know what, I believe in it. Here you go, 100K or 200K. Let's build something together. I think that will be the ultimate test. And that's my takeaway, right? Before I even put my own single money, I want to talk to these people, get a feel, before we start accelerating. But obviously, there's a process. Get it validated. Make sure that you understand your target audience, things like that, and then start talking to people who can help you or break you.
Yeah, man, you're bringing up something that most entrepreneurs, when they first start out, fail at, right? They have this idea of a solution that they think is going to solve someone else's problem. They don't talk to the customers, they waste all the money, they build the thing, and then they realize that nobody wants it, right? That's why I found the design thinking workshop that we did in Vietnam
Mm,
so valuable. The first time I did it, the second time I did it, I'm like, wow, I couldn't wait to do it in the Japan cohort. They didn't have it. And I was like, oh no, everything in Japan was very different, and
okay.
yeah. But still, I think that the one takeaway I got from these three experiences is that Antler and like accelerators in general, they're very rushed. They feel very rushed. That's why they're
Mm,
called accelerators, right? But if you're especially in a new team, tackling a new problem that you may not have experience in, um, don't listen to all the noise with regards to other founders or even the Antler team putting these pressures on you. I think it's just listen to your customers, only your customers, and figure out what problem they have, no matter how long it takes. Because Antler is there for that short amount of time, but they'll always be there. Once you're an Antler, you're part of that family forever, right? Um,
correct.
it's my advice would be to just focus solely on the problem that your customers are facing, because at the end of the day, they're the ones, like you said, are going to be paying you the money, right? So, yeah, any founders that are looking to get into Antler, I think that's the biggest takeaway. Talk to your customer
Yeah,
way more,
correct.
right? Would you do it again?
Would I do it again? Um, Now that I know what I know, I'm not gonna give 12% pre-seed. I don't think.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Probably not.
Yeah, I think bootstrapping's the way to go. I would maybe give them a call and say, hey, once I have some traction, because now we're part of that family, we're in their network, right? But we're not subject to those same terms, but they'd
Mm,
be the first people that I call and be like, hey, thanks for all the knowledge. By the way, I have all this traction. You guys interested in investing? Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, maybe. You know what I mean? But yeah, I wouldn't go through the program again. I've learned my lesson this time. My wife's gonna kill me, by the way. She's definitely gonna kill me. She's been the most patient. Speaking of, obviously managing a relationship, being a founder, right? Obviously, you have a partner, your wife, right? You have a wife, right? How is it like, I guess, juggling entrepreneurship and also, being in a marriage? Yeah.
That's a very good question, man. And that's the reason why you don't have a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, they have bills to pay, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a risk. It's 50-50, right? But I'll be very honest. She was afraid, right? So she's the sort of person that uh, doesn't take a lot of risk. She likes stability, right?
Mhm.
And she's had the same job for the past 12 years, right? So all good. I'm a sort of person that I'm a risk taker. If I believe in something, I will go, right? Even though there's no tracks on it, I'll still go trying to figure out how to make it better, or how do I make this work, right?
Mhm.
So the time when I was in Antler, I had to quit my job, right? And there was no income coming in. Um, so it's make it or break it sort of a situation. But obviously, we had savings, right? Enough to last us for maybe 1 or 2 years, I guess. Because the previous job that I worked, we saved some money. And if I didn't have the savings, I don't think I'd be in Antler, honest to God, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense because we have bills to pay. Uh, but because of everything that aligned well, my cost of living was not high. I don't rent a house. I own a house.
Mm.
Most of my
Yeah.
bills, not that significant. I don't buy, I don't buy branded goods or whatever. So my cost of living was not that high. And at the same time, I was quite focused, right? I want to build something, right? So everything fell in the right place to go to Vietnam. And also Vietnam, I don't think it was that expensive to live there, right, to
No,
begin
it's
with.
not. It's cheap. Yeah.
So yeah, because of all these factors, I just took a chance, and I went into Vietnam. If I did not have savings, if my wife was not, she didn't have a stable job, I don't think I'll be in this position right now, to be
Right.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel the same, man. Like I had a really good paying job in Vietnam and the cost of living being so low, it was great. I was able to save a bunch of money. But you have that gut feeling where you have to like follow your dream. That's what led me to eventually quit and go into it. And my wife the entire time has been completely supportive of me. She's betting on me to finally figure it out eventually. You know what I mean?
Limbo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She's very conservative as well. Like she's very risk averse and stuff like that. But she knows that I'm kind of like the risk taker, but I'm also not somebody playing video games. We don't even have a TV in our apartment, for example. I'm here hustling online, right? Trying to do new businesses and stuff like that, and she sees it. It will pay off. It's just takes time, man. I don't know if about you've seen this graph where it's like the entrepreneurial life cycle. It's like uninformed optimism, and then it's like informed pessimism, and then it's like down here is like the valley of despair. And this is where you cycle around and go back and forth, right? But
Yeah.
then if you're able to persevere and not pivot, and if you're able to persevere and get through that valley of despair, then it's like informed optimism and then scale. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I don't know, have you felt that before with any of your business ideas?
That cycle you explained, it happens every 30 minutes. So
Everything.
it's crazy, man. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, to be an entrepreneur, because you're always second guessing yourself. You need to be really sure this is what you want, and you really believe in the idea that you're building. So, but look, I know you for a long time, and I find you very fascinating. Wherever you lay your head is home, right? Within a year, 2 years, you learn the language. Within a year, 2 years, you have more than, I don't know, 6 degrees of separation when it comes to 10,000 people that you know, right?
Yes.
And I don't know how you do it, but if you can package that in a jar, I think you'll be a billionaire very, very soon, I guess. So that's the thing that fascinates me about you, to be honest.
We'll see, man. Hopefully I'm trying to figure it out at the moment. If there's any knowledge that I can share as well, with you and other people, I want to do that. So I was actually going through what is my mission in life,
Mm,
like recently, and it's to empower more entrepreneurships around the world to, get people to see their inner like capability. You know what I mean?
mm,
Because we tell ourselves a lot of lies. Imposter syndrome is real, man. I had it a lot of times. Every single time I got feedback about my idea that was negative and critical, I was like, am am I good
yeah,
enough to do this? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Am I supposed to be here right now? That first day in that first cohort at Antler, I saw so many people worked. Some of them worked at Google, some of them worked at some of these big companies. And I'm like, I'm just an English teacher. You know what I mean? What am I doing here? Right? Imposter syndrome is real. Have you ever felt it before?
yes, I have. But then again, the solution is what I think, but I don't advise it, is fake it till you make it, I guess. Look, sometimes you're a subject matter expert of something, uh, but there are levels. Let's say, for example, the startup that I'm working in, right? Is actually a very it's a complex product, right? But I'm trying to dumb it down. Essentially, it is providing SME loans to companies in Singapore, and I'm getting the liquidity from DeFi, right? Which is through blockchain, to fund these loans that I've tokenized on chain. Um, when you use the word imposter syndrome, it actually sometimes makes me feel anxious because there are a lot of things I don't know, and
Mhm.
I don't know what I don't know sometimes as well, especially when it comes to the on-chain side of things, right? And also when it comes to the regulation side of things. It took me actually about a year to get to this point of building this product, this company,
Mhm.
purely because of the regulation side of things. Uh, if someone from I don't know, legal background, I think they could have done this within 2 months, 3 months, right? Because that's
Mhm.
what they're doing it now. As the founder, you have to wear a lot of hats, and you just need to power through, and figure it out, right? And yes, you will feel like an imposter, but educate yourself to a point that you can have conversation, and more importantly, you can explain to them plainly, right? At first, I try to shy away from talking to people about my product because uh, it's not a simple product to talk about, right? There's a lot of factors in it. But after doing my own research, talking to people, talking to lawyers, talking to blockchain experts, I think I'm in a position where I know what I have, and I know how we can evolve in the next 1 or 2, 3 years, right? But initially, no, man, it's just like, oh, am I the right person for this? Look, what did I say? Is he second guessing me, which is crazy. But yeah, if you have that 1 ounce of spark of belief, just go ahead, man. Learn as much as you can. Have those conversations. Make mistakes. That's fine because everybody makes mistakes,
Yeah.
but not everybody succeeds. It's your job to succeed, right? So just keep on pushing.
Dude, the only mistake in life is to not make any mistakes, right? Like that's really my philosophy with regards to learning and taking risks and all that type of stuff. Because if you don't take any risks, you're not learning. If somebody makes a mistake but never learns from it, that's bad. You know what I mean? That's really bad. But you got to be able to stop, reflect on what you did and how you could do it better and iterate and improve. That's what I see, you know? Um,
Agree.
yeah, so what about you right now? You're currently building your startup, right? What have been some of the, I guess, struggles outside of the legal stuff that you've been going through?
So our business, unfortunately, is some you need to have money to be able to make money, right?
Mhm.
I need to have the funds so that I can loan it out to SMEs, and there's no two ways around it, right? So we are at a stage right now where we are fundraising through VCs and also through grant programs from blockchains. I'm happy to say that we actually got a grant, a very small grant from Stella Blockchain,
Nice, man.
and we're invited to apply for a bigger grant program, which is called the Build program. That's about 150,000 US dollars
Hmm.
worth of grant if you were to win, I don't know, within 6 weeks, I guess. So right now we're building our POC for Stellar blockchain, and we're also joining the Solana hackathon. I think that's about close to $250,000 worth of grant.
Oh,
If we can back this in, I think we'll be in a good position to at least tokenize 10 to 20 loans, and to have a really good base model for VCs to look at and imagine how this could be if they were to pump in money when it comes to scale, right?
hmm.
So that's where I'm at right now. The second problem, I wouldn't say problem, hurdle that I had to face was getting the right team members, right? Because it's a very complex product. You need to have risk managers, right, who are going to be doing risk assessment, credit profiling. You also need to have someone who understands the lay of the land in Singapore when it comes to collection. What happens if company defaults? How do you go by collecting your money, right? Clawing back. Are there any other legal ways you can structure it? Can you get collaterals? So I took a while to find all these people, right? Which I've already recruited them, and they're kind of stoked to work with me, right? It's just getting to a point where I need to get that funding so I can bring them on board officially as an employee or even a shareholder.
Mm.
And the other thing, this bit was the hardest part, is finding the right CTO, because this person would pretty much build the whole architecture on the tokenization part of things, the DeFi side of things, and more importantly, your loan origination side of things, right? So it has to be a seamless platform. Took me a while to find someone, and I don't know, man. I just met this guy maybe like 1 or 2 years ago in a Solana event. One thing led to another. After 1 year, I just said, "Look, this is my pitch deck. You want to work with me?" He was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Nice.
he's my CTO, and I think we are in a good spot right now. It's just getting to the next stage, which is if I can get that grant well, we also got a deal memo from another blockchain company. That's about close to $100,000. So
Mm.
things are in place. It just needs to come to our bank account. Once that's done, I think rock and roll, man. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds very promising, man. You've made some big strides since I last saw you when you came here to Japan. So that's great. That's really good to hear.
Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
Awesome. Awesome, dude. I look forward to seeing the future of Tutum. Is that how you pronounce it? Tutum?
Correct. Tutum is actually a Latin word called safe.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. This time I did my research.
There you go. There you go. Good, man. Well, I'm glad that things are going well. I love to hear how other Antler founders are doing in terms of like success stories and all that type stuff. Obviously, when teams get funded, I'd love to see them actually scale and get more funding and stuff. There were some really great startups that I worked with in Antler this cohort that got funded and now they're seeking next rounds of funding. So it's really exciting stuff. And I just want to see this, Antler community grow and stuff. I'm really grateful of the WhatsApp group that we're in with
Yes.
all the different founders from all over the world. Hopefully that continues to grow and we get thousands of more people in there, uh,
Correct.
so we can have just more connections, you know?
Question. So when I was in Japan, I met these two guys who were trying to build that space trash stuff.
Ah, yes,
Wait,
yes,
wait.
yes.
I'm
Uh,
so
so,
curious, man.
so they actually got funded, but one of the founders who was with it is no longer with the team. He got a different founder. So the Malaysian guy,
Yeah.
yeah, he got funded with a different founder that he knew from Dubai or something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah. So that's
going
really,
places though. That's one
yeah,
thing for sure.
yeah, they got funded. Their company's called Orbitoris now. Yeah, and they got funded. So they're looking for their next round of funding, which is good.
Wow. Man,
Have
if he was in Vietnam, I would have like, I don't know, put a gun on his head and said, "You are gonna be my co-founder." I will work on your idea.
Yeah, man, it was really exciting. I've never seen a space startup
Yeah.
Antler program, so that was really cool. I love space, so it's
Yeah.
exciting stuff. Yeah.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, his startup is about cleaning trash, all the
Yeah.
leftover satellites,
Mhm.
and making space trash free. I guess.
Yes.
That's my takeaway. I was like, man, this is something I thought about my whole life. I mean, for the past 5 6 years, I've been thinking about like, imagine all the satellites that's running around outside
Mhm.
our atmosphere. What do you call that? Stratosphere. I don't know whatever. Like in space, right?
Yeah.
Like recycle that, right? All rare earth materials and stuff like that. That's money outside there. Like, and
But
these
it's
guys
also
actually platform.
dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge problem. It's going to, continue to grow as a problem later on. So, yeah, they got funded. Hopefully, they're able to make some progress. They actually brought the device that's going to go onto the satellites to the Antler.
Wow.
It was really cool, man. Yeah, it was
Wow.
awesome to see. So, um,
Well, hopefully I get some cash so I can invest in them.
exactly. Me too, man. Me too. That's cool, man. All right. Cool. Josh, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest left a question for you, and then you will leave a question for the next guest. Are you ready to hear your question?
Sure.
What's the North Star metric for your life, and what are some of the sub metrics that will help you achieve that goal?
The North Star metric for my life. Wow, that's a good one. I would say happiness.
Mm,
That underpins every single thing that I do. It affects not only me but also my relationship with my wife, right? So I think I mean, we are at a stage right now that there's only one income, right? And me, being the cowboy trying to build something with no income, whatever. And it's sometimes very, very stressful. Actually, not sometimes, all the time, it's stressful, right? Uh, but I think somehow we are in a really happy place, right? Maybe because we don't splurge, but we're just happy with the simple things in life, right? Coming back home, food to eat, having a chat with each other. We also have beers in the fridge. Sometimes we'll drink beers and have a chat. And that, I would say, it actually helps me to, number one, focus on my work, focus on the startup, focus on my mental health, focus on making sure that I'm healthy, making sure my relationship is healthy. If the happiness is not there, then I think a lot of problems will definitely arise. I think that would be number one, my north star, right, in my life.
Mm.
Sub matrix, no man, I don't think there's many sub matrix. Whoever asked this question must be a numbers guy, I guess.
Yeah, he's a fintech product manager.
There you go.
Exactly. But yeah, you said happiness, right? What is happiness for you?
Happiness for me, um, number one, not to be in a place that I'm always worrying about something.
Mm.
Happiness for me, number two, I am moving forward, right? I'm not stagnant, regardless, whatever, my work, my relationship, everything, right? And also, happiness to me, finally, is the reason why I wake up in the morning and do things that I do, right? So that I don't feel depressed. I have been depressed. I have been, in the slums. I don't like that feeling, right? And I think past couple of years, getting my priorities straight, making sure I have everything planned out, helped me to get to a point where I can say I am happy. I don't have everything that I want, but I'm happy. I'm content. Uh, but I still have goals, right, that I'm working towards too. So yeah.
Cool. Cool, man. That's great. That's great to hear. I think that happiness for everyone is something that we're always striving to get to. For some people, that goalpost keeps moving though, right? You sometimes people don't know how to just stop and appreciate the little things in life, right? Whether it be something our partner does, or it could be, I don't know, a beautiful scene in nature or something like that, or I don't know, some good news in the world. People just often it goes over their head, right? So if you're able to find that, whether it be through success, whether it be through just mindfulness, happiness, money, it doesn't matter, right? As long as you have it, good health, as long as you have it, I think is great. That's a great goal to have. Cool.
Completely agree.
Yeah, great goal. Now, to you, to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay. I saw this in the movie. I forgot the name of the movie. That was a good question. If you die tomorrow, do you think you'll go to heaven, and why?
Oh, interesting. I wonder what movie that's from, man.
Yeah, I'll go and check it out. But I'm not going to give you the answer here because it's recorded. But the actor who gave that answer was really good.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. Well, Josh, it's always great talking to you. It was a pleasure having you on. I'm so glad we did this.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully, we'll see you on a future episode of the Product Podcast as well. Maybe when your company launches. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. It was a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Take care.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Product Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to share your PM stories, challenges, struggles, or insights with us on a future episode, please get in touch with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you on and keep this conversation going. Until next time, happy building, everyone.